I'll play a little music for hold.
And I'm going to put it on the Advanced Tax Advisors page. All right, here we go.
Good morning,
Technology is
guys.
beautiful.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Look at
Guys,
that.
do hold music. Little Ed Sheeran.
10 people. People are starting to come in.
Good morning. Happy December 1st.
Yeah, right. Jose, can you guys hear the music?
Yeah, I could hear it.
A little louder, actually, would be good.
A little louder?
Yeah.
Is that louder? No, that didn't make any difference. It did? Okay.
I can hear it.
Little Ed Sheeran to get things started. While we're waiting, I heard a really interesting story about Ed Sheeran. I watched a YouTube video of Jamie Foxx was on a talk show, I think it's Graham Norton show. And, Jamie Foxx is a musician and he's got a studio at his house. So he throws these big parties and he built a studio at his house because he's like, I get all these famous musicians. I want to do collaborations and do music with them. So I always invite them in the party and then I'm like, hey, let's go down to the studio and go mess around, So he heard about this kid, Ed Sheeran, and a friend of his brought this kid by and the kid shows up with a ukulele. Ed Sheeran with his red hair and his ukulele, and Jamie Foxx looks at his friend and says, man, this kid better kill it because this is going to be a really tough crowd. I got a bunch of rappers and stuff here, at this party. He said Ed Sheeran got on his ukulele and just killed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely killed it. Yeah.
Nice.
So it was awesome. And then he slept on Jamie Foxx's couch for like a month or two until he got like his first album gig going and,
Really?
pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been following music much lately.
No?
I'm gonna be in the weeds now with this new tax plan, the new tax proposed changes, man. It's like we just got updated. We just got familiar with the Trump tax cuts, and now we're gonna have to deal with Biden. So there's always something going on,
Yeah.
All right, come on in, guys. Come on in. Good morning. Good morning. Give it a few minutes, right?
Yeah, we'll give it a couple more minutes. Usually about 5 minutes to give everybody an opportunity to come in. In South Florida, a lot of our islanders are on island time.
Yeah. South Florida time.
So one of the things that we want to do, guys, while we're waiting for more people to join in is we want to know from you guys, what do you want to know about real estate? So, what aspects of real estate are you interested in? Maybe you're in some aspects of real estate and you have questions about how to create some synergy with us, the two largest real estate investment associations here in South Florida. So, just like the same way that we work together with Jose and his team, you guys can be asking us questions and be figuring out, how we can work together. And if you're new to real estate or if you haven't been doing much in real estate and you have some questions about that, you can ask us that as well.
And just so you guys know, I am in the chat. We promised you guys we were giving away a free BRIA membership, $249, actually 2 BRIA memberships. So make sure you text the word taxes to 954-737-3239.
I like that. Use the word
That's
yeah,
a horrible
by the way, I'm happy. Yeah, nice and easy, right?
Yeah.
Jose, is this the first webinar you're hosting with panelists? Are we your test? Your test subjects?
Yeah. I'm usually a guest on yours, so the tables have turned.
Yeah, so now you could run in, now you can mute us, you could block us and say, hey, Nish, you're talking too much.
Yeah, right.
We got to keep this moving.
Excellent. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, so how about in the chat, how many guys have actually heard of Bria or know us? Give me a heck yeah or something in the chat if you actually know. And I do know some names here that I see, so. Does anyone know us? I haven't even gotten a good morning today. What's
Does
going
anyone
on?
know
Everyone's
us?
grouchy.
You guys need no introduction, man. You guys are known
Everyone's got the
everywhere.
December blues.
I don't know about all that.
Oh,
Somebody's
Sonia's asking,
saying,
what's
what
Bria?
is Bria?
Okay, we'll let you know. What's up, William? How are you? So we got a couple of people. I do see some names that I do know that are on today.
Good
Bruce,
morning.
of
Good morning.
course. I think
DJ
everyone ate too
Brandon
much turkey
around.
this weekend. Everyone's dragging because they ate too much turkey.
Yeah, that's it.
They're out for Black Friday, online, Cyber Monday. Their fingers hurt,
Yeah.
shopping.
I
Hey,
did a
we
little
got
shopping on Cyber Monday.
we got to give a special shout out to DJ Brandmar, William Salas. He's our DJ for the expo the last few years
Yeah.
as well.
All right.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Sir William. Hope
Let's
everything's
see.
going
Let's see
well for
one.
you. He's not just a DJ; he also does real estate as well.
Hey, Lipsy, if you actually win another membership, you better give it away to someone else. Otherwise, you become a member for life. I think she
It's
won
the
the.
perfect stocking stuffer at Christmas time. That free Bria membership. Your kids have always wanted one. Forget the Xbox, okay? I already tried to get my hands on an Xbox. Forget about it. It's not going to happen.
Hey, Jacqueline. Oh, maybe it was Jacqueline that won a membership. That's right. So I will put it in the chat again. Make sure you text the word taxes. I'll put it in again.
Let's see, just discovered us 2 months ago. Well, we're glad that you discovered us.
Yep. I know Lipsy's been on everything lately. I'm surprised she's not sick of us. I think she could probably tell our story better than we could at this point. Same thing with
Yeah, right.
Jacqueline.
Nice hanging out with you guys. Jacqueline also, yeah, I see her.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Steven. So, I mean, one of the things like, Ryan and I today are like, we're going to teach you some things of what we've been up to. But if you guys want in the Q&A or the chat, really talk about what you guys want to learn, this is your webinar, really. So, if there's some points that, hey, I heard about this, what do you think about this? Or, we have a basic agenda, but sometimes after, I'm sometimes zoomed out, I mean, so many Zoom things, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it gets a bit much after a while, for sure. Well, for those of you guys that are new, that we haven't been introduced to, I guess we can go ahead and do our grand opening here. So first and foremost, I want to thank Jose Ramirez and Advanced Tax Advisors for hosting this special event today. He has a much cooler background than me or Anish, some kind of octopus painting or something.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. All of his awards and everything back there. I don't really have anything here, so. But yes, thank you, Jose, for hosting this this morning. Guys, I'm Ryan Kuhlman, president and one of the owners of the Broward and Miami-Dade Real Estate Investors Associations. We don't just invest or teach about real estate in Miami-Dade and Broward. We also cover Palm Beach. So really, we should be the South Florida area. I've been in real estate for about 20 years now. Actually, the guy on the bottom of the screen there, my brother from another mother, Anish, got me into real estate years ago. I saw him killing it back in the day, living on South Beach, driving the brand new Range Rover in a really nice apartment. I was like, man, how's this dude doing this? It's like real estate. So I started like a lot of people, just kind of getting my feet wet. I did end up getting my realtor's license. Found out very quickly that I don't want to be a realtor. No offense to anybody that that's on the call today. As realtors, we know that anytime we say anything bad about real estate agents here, we're talking about the 99.9% out there and not us top 1%ers that are on this webinar today. I was doing conversions with the third largest converter developer in the state of Florida in the beginning of the 2000s when the market was just crazy hot. I was doing sales and marketing for them. We'd literally open up our sales on a new condo. We were taking large multifamily, converting them into condos. And on a Saturday, I literally remember at that time the market was so hot. We would call and say, listen, guys, tomorrow we need to raise the prices $10,000, and there'd still be a line out the door of people buying these condos. That was like 2003, 4, 5. And Anish and I partnered on. We started a company called the Urban Life Design Group. Jose might not even know about this. And we were creating home ownership opportunities for families of low income, single mothers, that sort of thing. Trying to do a good thing at the same time, make money, which is always a great synergy. And we would work with the CRA departments of like Fort Lauderdale. We would get auxiliary funds, like have the county or the city put additional like $25,000 down payment assistance to our homeowners. Anish and I negotiated with Citibank and Bank of America. I'll never forget the lady from Bank of America. When we gave our pitch and told her what we were doing to try to help people, she looked at the other people at the table and she said, I think the angels have just come into my office. She had this thick Jamaican accent, but it was something a little bit different. But we did that for a while and started becoming successful right before crash of the market happened. So 2007, Anish and I actually had like about an 80 unit complex in contract for $4.5 million at Oakland Park that we were going to do our own conversion on. We had already had the contractor do measurements every unit. I mean, we were ready to start that project. We were going to make, over $1 million on that thing. It was going to be awesome.
You went big.
Yeah. And then the market crashed. And I literally remember sitting in a diner. And this, we were somewhere in Fort Lauderdale or something.
Yeah, that Greek diner.
Yeah. We were sitting in a diner with the seller because we were doing a seller finance deal with this guy, Joey. And he was an ex-Golden Gloves boxer. Yes. Yeah. So he really liked me because I used to do boxing as well. Was in Golden Gloves. But anyways, so long story short, too late. We ended up having to kill the deal. Literally, we sat down to eat, and he goes, "You guys aren't buying this place anymore, are you?" And we're like, "No, dude. The market just crashed on us." Literally, there was a unit about 70 some units that was behind us that were converted to condos that were being sold. And their prices went from like 160 down to like $100,000. They were just trying to dump the remainder of the units. So, so when that happened, unfortunately, I was way overextended with Citibank and Bank of America as well. Shh, don't tell them. Actually, we declared bankruptcy, so we wiped that debt out. I didn't have Jose to help me at that time. Probably would have helped a little bit at that time, but yeah, lost everything in the crash. And it was a very difficult time. It humbled me to say the least. And then I found the Broward Real Estate Investors Association. And I will let Anish catch you guys up on everything else in the rest.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Jose, for having us. And it's so funny, Ryan, I do so many webinars. I know it's your webinar, Jose. So, and there might be people that might not know you actually. So I don't know if you want to kind of.
Yeah, some of your guests maybe.
I'll let you drive the car. I'll give you the car key.
Sure. Well, you guys already introduced yourselves, so I'm already behind on that. But you guys really don't need introduction. Everybody knows who you are. The BRIA is the Broward Real Estate Investor Association. If there's anybody there that doesn't know. But my name is Jose Ramirez, and I'm the Chief Tax Strategist at Advanced Tax Advisors. And I'm the host today. Anish and Ryan are my guests, and we're going to talk about how they're killing it in wholesaling during the pandemic. Now, I know these guys. I've known these guys since 2014, more or less, 2013 maybe. Yeah. We're friends, we're colleagues, they're clients, and we do a lot of work together. So I know these guys they're awesome to work with. They know what they're doing. They're masters in wholesaling and negotiating a deal. The harder the deal, the more money they make. So you want to learn from these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
And so my little background, licensed real estate agent since 2002, licensed mortgage guy since 1999, worked in banking, finance, auditor, all those glamorous jobs that everyone wants in corporate America. Yeah, right. You know, every time as the, you know, you're the accountant, you know what it feels
Yeah, I
like
was there too.
when the
Yeah.
auditor, when the auditor walks in, no one's ever happy. So
Yeah.
those were some of the things I did. I was up to 28 properties back in the boom. I read all the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. Ryan and I spent a lot of money on some national programs, on learning how to flip houses. This was pre, I think back then there was only one HD TV show. There was no Bigger Pockets. There was no meetups. You know, I think YouTube was only around for 2 or 3 years. So the idea of wholesaling, you know, which basically, you know, we're buying a property and not doing anything to it and selling it for a profit, was brand new to me. I always fixed up houses, either kept them or I flipped them. And I always thought you had to fix everything. So like Ryan mentioned, you know, top of the market, everything was great. All of a sudden, slowly, things started, you know, falling apart. I wound up losing all 28 properties. The mortgage company shut down every morning. You know, it felt like a different kind of pandemic, right? It was like, hey, Washington Mutual's closing today, or you know, IndyMac, and every day it was a bank going down, and it felt pretty hopeless. One of the things was, you know, I did not want to go back to corporate America. That was my only choice, I thought, or I better figure out how to do real estate. So luckily, Ryan and I found the Broward Real Estate Investors Association. We were the top students in the old mentoring program. We got to actually buy the companies from our coaches almost 6 years ago. And then we expanded to the Miami-Dade area. And exactly what Ryan was saying, we practice what we preach. Not only are we teachers of how to flip houses, wholesale, you know, build long-term wealth, raise money, but we're also investors too. So.
And it's interesting because I see in the comments here, Luis had said that, said hello. I discovered you guys at a conference you held almost a year ago, and I'm back in Florida. I want to see if you guys are still a good fit for me. And then she said, hopefully, I'm sure you guys are. Thank you for having me. Well, we're happy that you're here. But that's an interesting point too, is that, you know, Anish and I see that a lot of times too, is that, you know, people sometimes, you know, they'll be here in this market. They'll, you know, people have moved away or whatever, you know, the case is, or we get people that find us. We've had a lot of webinars during this pandemic. We've had people from Chicago, New York. Last week we had a couple people from like the Carolinas and things. So
In Maryland.
Yeah, in Maryland. So, you know, again, any of you guys that are out of state, and even if you're not out of state, but you have, you know, friends or family or people that are wanting to do real estate down here, you know, you guys they can still get involved with us. I mean, what we really try to serve, you know, here in South Florida is the community of people that want to get into real estate investing, that are already in real estate investing. And people know us, you know, Jose knows that you don't have to necessarily even be a member. I mean, we'd love for people to become members, but it's not like our doors are, you know, closed to you if you're not a member. You know, it's like, sorry, can't help you. Go buy a membership first. No, we don't treat situations like that. We have people all the time that aren't members that, you know, call the office here, have situations that they need to either get out of, need advice on, or the favorite phone calls are when people call us and say, I've got a property. Are you guys buying anything right now? Of course, we're buying everything.
Of course.
So any properties you guys have or anybody else out of state, let us know, because we are cash buyers. But basically, you know, for Bria and MD Ria, and the way that we know Jose so well, other than just, you know, being a corporate member, is that, like he said, he's become a friend of ours. We also do businesses together as well. He is an educator at our boot camps. He is you know, one of our sponsors at our main meetings, our monthly meetings. Jose does a lot of different things for us, you know, tax strategies, just formed a couple corporations, you know, for us. So he's one of our experts to that, but that's our corporate structure. So we have people like Jose. We have great title companies, you know, and title companies. We have flooring guys. We have, you know, pretty much any needs, you know, for real estate. that you guys may have as well. Just, for those of you guys that aren't, really familiar with us, because I'll be honest, Anish and I laugh about this all the time. I had never heard of a real estate investors association prior to 2009. When I met Bill Leon that started BRIA, and he was like, gave me this card and said they have this BRIA meeting. I'm like, what's a real estate investors association? I've never heard of these, those guys. So
That's funny.
just so you guys know. So we're not just, educators. We are investors. We do, purchase properties as well. And we do help connect, think of us kind of like a trusted Angie's List. We do connect people to real estate experts and stuff too. I mean, we refer Jose out all the time, so.
Yeah, and we definitely appreciate it. So, no, absolutely. And just to piggyback on that, I mean, the networking that happens with you guys is amazing. All the corporate members, they know what they're doing, from insurance to title to contractors to tax advisors. There's a lot there that you can benefit from. Absolutely.
Yeah. And by the way, Anish just put in the chat, he put the link for our YouTube channel and also WJL Financial. WJL, we actually changed the name now to WJL Properties. It had been WJL Financial since 1989 when that company was started. That's another company that Anish and I purchased from our mentors. And you guys can even if you're not cash buyers or sellers of properties, you guys can still sign up. And you'll be aware, you'll get emails of new properties that we're sending out just to kind of see what kind of properties are going out, the pricing, what's going on with the market, that sort of thing. So, Anish, do we have any people that have given us have you guys given us topics of what they want us to talk about?
Yeah, you guys, I know we talked about we're buying stuff with our Roth IRA, self-directed IRAs. So in the chat, how many people even know what a self-directed IRA is? Give me a yes, no. We can kind of start with that. So I got a Giselle, yes. Subri, no. I like William Loose idea, yes. Being non-committal. Yes, no.
No, okay.
So Jose, I mean, I know you're the expert. You want to actually talk about what a self-directed IRA is, since
Well, yeah, I mean, self-directed IRA is where you instead of putting money in the market, you're managing your own IRA by buying real estate. So you have the option to make offers under your IRA and purchase property under your RIA. If it's a Roth IRA, the benefits are that any profits that you make from the deal are going to be, there's no tax on there, right? Because that's money that you already pay taxes on. So I think, Anish, you had a story about a kid that does this, like a 12-year-old that started doing this a long time ago, and has more money than me, I think, in his IRA.
Yeah, he had two pieces of land, and it always sounds kind of funny when I tell that story, because it sounds a little creepy, because I was like, yeah, I was on the National Via Cruise. I met this 12-year-old, which sounds terrible, right? I met the 12-year-old.
You met the parents
with his
too.
Parents.
Start there.
His parents in a National Via class, and it was a self-directed IRA class, and that's when he actually asked me. He said, "Hey, Nish, do you?" I went to him and I was like, wow, you're here studying, good for you. Like, you're way ahead of the game. And, you're interested in IRAs. How old are you? He's like, I'm 12. I'm like, oh, wow. He goes, yeah, I own a couple pieces of land in my IRA. Nish, what do you own in your IRA? So I put my head down, pretended I didn't hear him. I was like, I own nothing. And, but it made me laugh. I mean, like, it was just a pretty cool thing, because both of his parents are super successful real estate investors. So that was a pretty cool idea, or, to actually teach, not only do it for yourself, but to actually pass it on to future generations. I think it makes a pretty big difference too. So.
And I'll tell you guys, it's always interesting. We all have kind of a pain threshold of what we're willing to try and that sort of thing. And Anish knows, I am the old school mentality. I get that, unfortunately, from my father, God rest his soul. But, my dad wasn't really imaginative when it came to investing. It was kind of like, okay, you buy this piece of property here, you wait however many years, you try to sell it, make a profit, like just the basics, But it's been fortunate for me because, you know, having a business partner like Anish, you know, he's got the degree in finance, and he's, you know, I always say get an Indian on your team for sure, man, because they know their numbers, they know their finances. But the cool thing is that, you know, we've done two things. Not only the Roth IRAs, we can also talk about life insurance policies too, but the Roth IRA has been cool because now I'm actually starting to see what the benefit is. I mean, you know, I'm not necessarily getting any younger. I'm 48 years young, but I was thinking about that just the other day. I was like, you know, when you're 65 years old, and, you know, I'm not really going to be wanting to, you know, come in an office, or unfortunately, guys, I'm probably not going to want to do webinars by the time I'm 65.
Right.
So it's kind of like, well, what do you do, you know? But building up this retirement fund now, and now I'm starting to get a, you know, because of this guy, I'm getting a sizable amount of tax-free dollars in here. So we actually have a deal to show you guys. Do we want to go ahead and start showing them the property?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is, like, I don't know how many of you guys are actually using your self-directed IRAs for real estate. So I had a financial planner, and, you know, I had some mutual funds, and it wasn't really growing much. I wasn't very excited about it until I finally took control and put it into a self-directed IRA. Unfortunately, my financial planner, because it wasn't self-directed, I could only buy stocks and mutual funds. And I thought that was the answer, and there was always a fee. And it didn't matter if the portfolio went up or down. It's anywhere from 1.5% to 3%. So he still made his money as long as he was managing it. And I was very naive to think, like, oh yeah, every day he opens up my account and says, hey, we should move this funds. We should. Yeah, absolutely not, right? So, you know, actually, after having a self-directed IRA, and now we're starting to put in real estate, it's been pretty cool to see the growth. The deal that we're going to show you too also.
And real quick, yeah, I can't do a screen share. Host disabled participant screen share.
Let me see here. So how do I do that? Let's see.
Jose's afraid what you're going to see on my.
Yeah, he's going to say, oh my gosh.
He's like, we got to shut this guy down. Well, Jose, actually, I think if you go above where my name is, there's 3 dots there, and if you click on those,
I see.
Yeah. Make him a co-host
or co-host.
Yeah, or host, co-host. If you can make him a co-host, would be great.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm rocking and rolling now. And by the way, one of you guys might want to answer this. So Raphael had said that the solo 401k is better. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, in what sense? How is it better? I mean, he didn't mention if it was a self-directed solo 401k or not. Solo 401ks are good. I mean, if you're self-employed and you have no employees, yeah, absolutely.
Can you guys see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll give you a quick background. This is 6021 Dewey Street. It's funny because Anish and I closed on this property. We own it now. But when we did a webinar like 2 months ago, we were waiting for a quiet title action because we had a situation on this one, and I'll explain that to you guys. But we would put this up as an example of a property, you know, that probate property. I think we did a probate webinar, but we weren't able to tell them the address. But anyways, now that we own it, we can safely tell you guys the address, and it is for sale for what's our price on this, Anish?
Actually, it's under contract, and you have the contract. Actually.
Oh, and we don't want to tell you guys yet. We'll tell you guys here in a minute. So so this property is a probate property. It was basically in our network. Again, one of our people in our network, one of our corporates, Samantha Fitzgerald. She is a rocking probate attorney. So if anybody needs a probate attorney, just let us know. We'll be glad to refer her. So she actually had contacted. I had touched bases with her right at the beginning of the year, and I said, you know, do you have any potential, you know, probate properties? And she said, yeah. She said, I actually have one. And so I did some research on it. I contacted the brother. Unfortunately, it was the sister, his younger sister that passed away. And his name was Harvey, and Harvey lives with his wife up in New York. Super cool guy. I became kind of friends with him throughout the pandemic, and we had negotiated a deal. Anish and I put this property in contract I can tell them the amount that we.
Yeah, you can tell them everything. You can tell them everything now.
Okay. Okay. So we put it in contract for 50,000. And there was a small mortgage that was on it. There was a foreclosure action on the property, but it wasn't anything pressing. There wasn't a final judgment or anything like that. And the probate hadn't been completed. Harvey had been basically estranged from his sister. They hadn't spoken in years, which always makes a probate kind of difficult because there was no will, anything like that. And to even make it more difficult, she was incapacitated, which means that she was in basically like a nursing home, and she didn't have all of her faculties. I don't know if it was Alzheimer's or early Alzheimer's, but so that kind of made kind of difficult. So when she passed away, there was in probate, there's always a question, if there's no will or anything, who's the property going to go to? Well, luckily there were no other siblings, so we sent all the information to our probate attorney once we got the property in contract. So we got the property in contract before the probate was completed. Okay, we wanted the heir, the older brother Harvey, to kind of have the psychological checkbox of like, oh, I've already got the property sold, so I don't need to speak to any other investors or anybody. And every month it was his favorite thing to say, I keep getting offers on that property. So people were sending him letters saying, we'll give you a cash offer on this property, this and that. So we actually got into to the property. And while I'm talking about it, I'll kind of run through the pictures here a little bit just so you can kind of see. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. Like we said, 6021 Dewey Street in Hollywood. If you look at it now, it should be. Anish, are we recorded in there as the owners yet? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yep. We're recorded, and that property appraiser thing, they'll be able to see all that stuff.
And we bought this with INRG.
Nope, this is with our self-directed IRA.
That's right. Okay. See, even I forgot. So once we got the probate started, things were going very smoothly until we found out that there was a lady. Her name was Lisa, and I forget her last name. It was a very common name, like Schwartz or something, right? And she had basically made claim to the property and said that the deceased, Joe Berman, had deeded the property over to her. So she was trying to claim that she owned the property. Now, we never met Lisa. We never saw her. All we had was a piece of paper and a document and a deed, which had a very sketchy notary. The notary had completely forgotten one of their stamps that they're supposed to put on. And when it said for the notary, this person is either personally known to me or produced an ID, none of those were filled in. So it was a very sketchy deed that we found that had been recorded in public record. However, in order for them to take ownership of the property, now that we have probate completed, and this is fast forwarding, like we'd started this in January, and fast forward to really September, and the probate was completed. But the problem was that we had this other deed that was out there that was recorded, and what we didn't want to have happen, because we talked to one of our attorneys, Jaron Kelly and Corey Carano at Kelly and Grant, and they said, well, the problem is that if you guys go through with this, first of all, the title insurance might not go through on the title policy because they're going to find this cloud on the title. And he said, what if these people just pop up out of the woodwork that have some other documentation that says that Joe Berman, the deceased, in fact, did leave this property to them? If we bought it and sold it and everything, we'd have to, we'd probably get sued. So he said, listen, we need to do a quiet title action because I don't think that this deed is valid. Obviously, this is fraudulent. These people aren't going to show up at the hearing, right? They're not going to put themselves in front of the judge and say, oh, yes, this is our property. Plus, we didn't think they were going to have the evidence for it anyways. There's a lot of fraud like that happens here in South Florida when people are in nursing homes, specifically when they don't have, of sound mind. Even if you're not in real estate, we've all seen movies where they try to get somebody to sign some document, when they're in this, this state. And, they try to get the property, deeded over to them. Jose, I'm sure, sees this kind of issues and stuff with his clients as well. So you have to be very careful about these things. So we put our experts on it. When it comes to a tax issue, we're going to put Jose on it. When it comes to a legal issue, we're going to put our attorney on it. Anish and I are not going to try to figure this stuff out ourselves. So we contacted had the attorney file a motion for quiet title action. They're awesome. They got it done in like 30 days, which was very difficult to do even under normal circumstances. But during COVID, when they're only doing a certain amount of hearings every single day, that really worked out for us. And of course, this lady, this Lisa, whatever her name was, she never showed up to the hearing. So the quiet title action went through, and we were able to then have the brother secure the property, the title to the property. Probate was completed. We then purchased the property, and I'll let Anish tell you guys how we purchased this using our Roth IRAs.
Yeah. And there's a couple things. I'm not sure if it, Ryan, if you actually maybe refresh. I just added some. I don't know if the photos added. So one of the things that, as Ryan's showing you the house, this was a true hoarder, situation. So I'm not sure. I just try to see if any of those new pictures popped up. Let's see if any of them popped up.
I think they might be here at the end.
Okay. So that's us cleaning up the house, as you could tell. Let's see.
There we go. So this is the house originally. When I went to look at it first in January, it had been vacant and abandoned for a while.
Are you advertising this house yet or not yet?
We actually have it already sold. This was actually during Thanksgiving. Make this house.
Oh, it's sold. All right.
Oh, this house has been sitting for like 2 years with no air conditioning system. It only takes 48 hours to make mold in it. And she was a bit of a hoarder as well.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Hole in the ceiling. Yeah. And it's pretty crazy too. You see this a lot of times in real estate. For those of you guys that are new to real estate, it is kind of interesting because I remember, watching the movie The Big Short, which, by the way, that is a must see. If you have not seen the movie The Big Short, I know Jose's seen it. He hears me talk about it at the boot camp sometimes too. I refer to that movie all the time. Not only is it a great movie. I studied film. I'm big into movies. It's a great movie, great cast, great script, but it really teaches you what happened. It puts in layman's terms what happened in the first crash of the market. And the interesting thing is that there's a scene where these guys get on a plane and they come down to Florida because they want to see, is there really a bubble? This is like 2006-07. And they started looking at these neighborhoods all over, in Florida, where you just have all these vacant, abandoned houses that people left. And you'd go and see in the kitchen, they still had like the peanut butter and jelly and the loaf of bread out, almost like they left like an emergency. Well, the same thing you can see in these pictures. She still had dirty dishes in the sink, so obviously whatever her state was not good when she was living here. And she left the house exactly the way that it was before with all of this stuff in it. Now, under normal circumstances, a lot of times in probates, there's stuff in the house that the family wants. The older brother, Harvey, I asked him, he didn't want anything because that was part of our negotiations. When you negotiate a probate deal, ask them what their wants, needs, and desires are. Anish and I have gotten great pricing on probates before, simply because the heir lived in another state and there were like family, heirlooms and things that they wanted from the house. So we had a professional moving company come in and ship them to them. It cost us almost $4,000 because there was some very big furniture and stuff we had to ship all the way up to New Jersey. But that, sometimes that, when you're negotiating in a probate, getting their wants, needs, and desires sometimes is more important to them than the price. So we put it in contract for 50. We got the probate done. We got the quiet title action done, and we closed. When was this, last week? Week before?
Yep. Yep. You'll have all that stuff. So how many people would actually walk away from this deal? Like, you walked into the house, and be honest, guys, give me a yes or no if you'd actually really do this deal. I'll be honest. Yeah.
I would walk away.
2003, 2004, when I probably looked at houses like this, I'd probably walk in and out and say,
how much money do you think they have to put into this to get it to a rentable or or to sell at retail. I mean, these are the type of properties that I usually don't go for. I buy to hold. So usually I buy something that needs minor repairs, not anything like this.
Yeah. This is going to be a little more specialized. Obviously, for regular investors just doing rehabs, most investors are looking to update. You've got a house, it's in decent condition, but it's 1980s bathrooms, and the kitchen's old. We need to update that. A property like this is more of a specialized rehabber. Initially, I have done rehabs like this before, but we'll kind of explain to you why in the wholesale game sometimes it's not worth doing the rehab. And the reality is that as Jose asked, what's the scope of work in here? I think that we had actually looked at this house and said that our number was probably right around 60,000. Now you have to build in a contingency because we can't see inside the walls. We don't truly know what the electrical or plumbing is right now. But just looking at this, first of all, needing a mold remediation, needing to clean the house out. Anish, what did we spend to clean the house out?
So $1,800 to clean it out. Was $1,850 actually. It took actually 2 big U-Hauls. I mean, you can't even, I didn't even load all the pictures. Our handyman did one of those, oh my God, kind of thing. The house is only like 950 square feet. From the pictures before, it had that illegal room that was enclosed in by where the garage is. If you go back to that, yeah. Yep, that's. Yeah,
this is the living room leading into the kitchen.
It's beautiful. It's rent ready.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I love that yellow tub.
See the step down right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where the illegal enclosure is right there. I was telling Brian on a side note, I told my dad, I said, oh, Brian and I bought a house, in Hollywood. He goes, oh, you guys are moving in together? And I'm like, Dad. And I actually took him to the house. He did one of those, are you kidding me?
You really took him here? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he went and put the lockbox on there and he goes, are you kidding me? Like, this is crazy. Like, why would you ever buy this house?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to that. Here's that front picture. Sorry, guys. I know I'm flipping through these fast, but so what do you think with this driveway right here? What do you think used to probably exist right here?
Right. That's a carport, right?
Carport, or even, yeah, most likely this was a carport. If it was a garage before, sometimes you'll still see the garage door, here. Or we've seen houses where they plaster over, you don't see the garage door anymore, but when you go to the inside of the house, you can still see the inside of the garage door inside, and that's like a bedroom or the rental unit or something that they've done. People get really creative here in South Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Phil's asking, is this condemnable condemned by the city? And the answer is no. Actually, there's no violations on this, if you can believe it.
Well, and there's a reason. There's part of the reason why. So sometimes it's a catch-22. We don't like to have mortgages on properties because we got to deal with the bank, and there's less equity. So the homeowner, their price usually goes up because they're like, well, by the time I pay off my mortgage, I need to have, $50,000 in my pocket. So that poses a problem for us sometimes. But on this property, it actually worked out in our favor because it was a very small mortgage. It was only like $20,000 still owed on this property. But because there was a mortgage on this property, they were maintaining it the whole time. So they were the ones that they locked up the front door. They mowed the grass. Well, as long as you're locking the front door, mowing the grass, and there's not piles of trash or anything in the yard. And one of the neighbors who I had talked to, because I went around, as soon as I went to this house trying to track everybody down, the first thing you do is you go to all the neighbors and go talk to all the neighbors, right? It gives you an opportunity to advertise, your business, number one, and which is an easy conversation to have, but also, any information that I needed about Jill Berman, the deceased, I was given, especially by the cute little old lady across the street who was dishing all the information. Oh, I think she had a boyfriend that he's been going in and out of that house and doing this and doing that. So, but there was also a landscaper that was down the street that parked one of their trucks there in the driveway. And when I talked to him, you know, he was kind of like, oh, he's like, I'll move the truck. I'll move the truck. And I said, no, 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 no. Go ahead, use our driveway. We're more than happy to let you use the driveway, because that way it looks like somebody actually lives there. It keeps people from looting the property. Not that there's much to take, but we don't want people, you know, kids breaking the windows and just doing, you know, stuff, you know, that the kids might be doing. And it attracts code enforcement officers. If a property looks like it's being maintained, code enforcement officer's not going to bother with it because there's nothing for them to really enforce. So that kind of worked out, you know, for us, that there was no red flags. So we got this property. Let me
So in the meantime, while Ryan changes some of the things, so the big question is, what price do you think we sold this for? Go ahead and put it in the chat.
That's a wholesale, right? You didn't fix it.
Yep. So all we did was, you saw the hoarders, right? So all we did was spend $1,850, $1,850, $35 for insurance so far. That's been our expenses. Turned on the electric.
What did you buy it for? You bought it for 50?
We bought it for 50,000. So Ruben's telling me we sold for 120. Anybody else? Alejandro,
Probably like
Alessandro, sorry, 85.
30 maybe. Knowing you guys.
You're saying 130, 95, right? Keep going. I got a 140. So like, if you look at what Ryan put up right now in the property appraisers, you could actually see it's, you know, Anish Tabe, Brian Kuhlman, FBO Equity Trust. So our self-directed IRAs is through Equity Trust. It's one of our national RIA members. And if you kind of go down, November 10th, we bought it for $50,000, right? Those guys are not liars. They really did buy it for 50.
Right.
Raphael's saying 150, Jacqueline's saying 125. So we got anyone from 85,000 up to Raphael is 150. So 120. Any last couple numbers?
I'm going to say 130.
130.
It's like the price is right. Whoever gets the closest gets the prize.
You get the showcase showdown. 220, Lipsy. I wish you'd buy for 220. 182.
Wow. You sold it for 182.
Yep.
Well, that's $132,000 profit.
Yeah. I mean, there's some closing costs. So let's say about 120,000.
Wow.
So $60,000 into my IRA, 6,000. And look, 3 weeks or less.
Yeah.
Like, so we think we'll actually close this in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Man,
we think we'll close this in 2 weeks because the title work was just done.
That's it. I'm selling my practice. I'm selling my practice, guys.
So, I mean, the cool thing is, like, we're going to net about $120,000. We did not fix the house, right? It's in our Roth IRAs. So we both put in, actually, with the closing costs, we're in it for $27,000 each. So we're going to get back probably $60,000 plus our $27,000 in less than 3 weeks, or November 10th. Yeah, a month. Sorry, my bad.
Not bad. And
it's tax free. So, I mean, Jose, do you want to talk about, since you're the, you know, it's funny, you're the tax expert. What would be the difference, generally speaking, if Ryan and I bought this in our LLC or what personal name or whatever?
Mean, sure. Yeah, I mean, the difference is that we pay an ordinary income tax. You know, subject to.
What's that in? Yeah, what's that in real?
Well, for
stop being the fancy accountant.
You guys should probably be at 37%, right? Plus the self-employment tax, 15.3%, right? So by doing it in your Roth, you're not paying any taxes on the profit.
Yeah, so we're looking at 37% of, or let's say 40% of 120, right? I guess, right. So $50,000, $48,000.
Yeah, 120. Yeah, almost 50.
Yeah, so like that's it. So we put an extra $25,000 each. You know, now I could go on that vacation, Ryan. Thanks, man.
So that's money that you're making tax-free.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. I don't know, man. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what does, but that's great. That's great. Good job, guys.
Yeah. So I mean, some of the things that we actually do, just so you guys know, is that Ryan, Jose is a guest in our boot camp also that's coming up. But we have a 2 full day boot camp from 9 a.m. to 5:30, going over finding off-market deals. I know some of you guys might have already been to a boot camp, but if you guys are interested, let us know. I just put a quick poll up there, but these are some of the things we're doing in, our market, right? It's not HGTV in Michigan or Ohio. I know Ryan's from Ohio, so I always pick on Ohio. It's in our backyard. And this is during a pandemic, right? How many people have been doing deals during the pandemics? Put it in the chat if you guys have been doing deals during the pandemic, or has it been a bad time for you? I'm kind of curious. Oh, William, yes. Lipsy, yes. Yeah, William, it's a little harder, maybe.
The interesting thing is, what Anish didn't mention is that in the last 3 months, for like basically the last quarter of this year, September, October, November, December, we compared, and we actually have more students getting deals in the last 3 months than last year in 2019 at the same time. Our students are always getting deals, but we've just gotten that many more right now because I think that throughout this pandemic, and what we're also going to kind of show you guys, we'll show you guys a little bit of re-effects, is there are more and more motivated sellers out there. Unfortunately, these forbearance programs and things, not every homeowner is going to be able to take advantage of this stuff. I know we've been talking to Jose about this stuff. He'll sometimes send us an email of some, new thing that's happening or new forbearance programs coming out. We get a conversation going on back and forth, but not everybody's going to qualify for that. And there's going to be just a lot of people going into foreclosure. So there's just a lot more opportunity right now.
And I know Lipsy just asked me, do we only do flips in our self-directed IRAs or rentals too? So right now we're only doing flips in there, but the real move is, and this is a good story that, again, that National RIA cruise, hopefully we go back to cruising again. You get to really meet some great people from around the country. It's a 7-day cruise through the Caribbean, and the sea days, you actually get to, it's education. And I met this guy, which was pretty funny. I know Ryan's heard the story. I met him on one of my first cruises. It was like 2011 or so. And older guy in his 60s. He had a regular IRA. He finally, found out about self-directed IRAs, and he wanted to convert it, his traditional IRA, into a Roth IRA. So his accountant, right? Not all accountants are created equal. Is not a real estate guy, and he told him not to convert it. He said, don't convert it. You're going to have a big tax bill. It's going to be $20,000 and you don't have the cash to pay that tax bill. And so this gentleman said, I don't care. I'm still going to do it. He paid the tax bill, $110,000. So I got to meet him last year on the cruise. So 8 years, fast forward, he got into real estate investing, and now he owns 14 properties in his Roth IRA, or I'm sorry, 13 properties in his Roth IRA. It's worth $1.4 million is the value, and he nets $100,000 a year tax-free through his Roth IRA. So it was pretty cool for me to see a guy in his late 50s, to see the progress, right? I think some of the things that happen, I don't know about Jose, but I know Ryan and I probably say this all the time. Everyone wants something right this second. The self-directed or the IRAs or the true wealth game, it's a long-term game. It's not a sprint, right? It's a marathon. And you don't realize it until, I don't know, like what Ryan said too, I thought that was a good point, was like you start seeing your retirement accounts grow, like it kind of gets you excited. I know it sounds, that's, maybe not Ryan so much. I know Jose and myself, because we're pretty much nerdy, on that portion. So it's just that you're just like, holy crap, what happened? All of a sudden this happened. Yeah. So I think that's, the goal is, and so the rest of that story was that he always said, listen, he goes, you always love your kids, but you love your grandkids. So he was talking about leaving those properties in his IRA to his, kids, and to be able to transfer wealth too. So now you're talking about, generations. So it's not only about you. You do this right, you could set up a lot of different generations in the future. So.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Big time. Yeah, big time. So one of the things that we should probably Oh, two things. William said he's closing a flip in Homestead this Friday. 100K profit. Way to go. Bought it for 205K, selling for 380K. He said, I need more of those homers, whole tails that y'all be doing, those home runs. So, well, congratulations, William. I take it that flip, is that flip a rehab flip that you're doing? Bought it for 205. Yeah, so he said he's doing a rehab on it right now. And prices are going gangbusters. I'll bet, but you know, when William was looking at that house, the ARV was probably even a little bit lower than it is now. I mean, we're just seeing the ARVs climb and climb and climb. That's not a good sign though, guys. It's not necessarily a healthy thing. Everybody's like, oh yeah, it's great. The real estate market's great. The prices are just going up like gangbusters. The problem is that there's an end to that and a crash to that. You know, as soon as those prices go up a little too high, and when there's going to be a fluctuation of pre-foreclosures, foreclosures in the market, that's going to cause you know, a dive to the market. The market is going to come down, so don't go out and buy your dream house just yet. But congratulations, William. I'm happy to hear that for you, buddy. That's awesome. And then there was a question here. There's what was the question about? I saw it in the, how many can you flip in your self-directed IRA? Raphael's asking.
Jose, you want to answer that, or?
You can flip as many as you can.
Yeah. So the thing is, you can't, like, I know the IRS doesn't. So again, I'm going to start. I'm not an accountant. Jose is your accountant, so that's more of a question for him. I mean, we talk about this through National RIA and the attorneys, and they say you can't be flipping like 50 properties in there, right? So they don't tell you a certain number because it runs into dealer status, or you run into some other things. What I will speak, what Ryan and I do is our biggest numbers that we know we're going to make a big profit on, we stick those in our self-directed IRA. So I don't know if there's a real number.
Yeah. So that's really a different question, right? From a tax point of view, from a tax perspective, it makes no difference. I mean, the more you do, the more you save. But I don't know if there's a restriction on there, because it converts it into a different product at that point. That you would have to check with your financial advisor or somebody like Equity Trust.
What they were saying is that it becomes like almost like you're running your wholesale business out of it, and you can't really, like, it's a different end of it. Like the IRS kind of frowns on it because you're getting immediate access. So, they're trying to get, their tax dollars. It gets a little tricky. From what we heard, via, National RIA, like we try to keep like 12 and under. I try to do maybe one a month. And also the other end of it, I do need money to live on too. So you remember, you can't touch that money.
Right.
Either, right? If you're under 65 and all those other good things too. I know I did put a poll about our boot camp that's coming up. So in the chat, I did put a link on there. For members, it's $425, $495 for non-members. What I'm willing to do, actually, it's kind of funny, is, Jose, if there are any of your clients, we could do a special Jose price. I don't know, but how about $375 or something? If you're one of, because I know you do discounts for our people, I always beat you down. I'm okay with the same way, is that if we, if we do a discount, if you're one of Jose's clients, I will verify. So don't just say I talked to Jose.
Yeah, I see several of my clients on here. Yeah.
So we just want to make sure on that portion too. So
and we'll let our office staff know as well, guys. So if you guys do, like a couple days from now, you're like, you know what, let me take that boot camp. Just contact the office, and we'll let our staff know that if anybody calls and says, the secret password is, I'm a client of Jose Ramirez.
I know Jose.
I know Jose. I go out to nightclubs, before the pandemic. I used to be, the door guys looking at me. I'm like, hey, man, I know Jose Ramirez. Oh, sorry. Come right in,
He paid me a ton in Texas. I love that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I get those comments all the time.
Jose, I do see a question. Can you have more than one self-directed IRA? That's from Giselle.
I don't think you can. That's a great question. I don't think. So, You can only contribute. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can look
So,
into
so
it and
you
get back
can,
to you.
you can, but it's only a max amount for the year. So if you're under a certain age, 50, it's up to 6,000. So you could theoretically have a traditional IRA for 3,000, a Roth IRA for 3,000, but I don't know anyone that would do that at the
In
same
terms
time.
of contributions that you're limiting,
Yeah.
right? 6,000. I don't know that you can have multiple from in different institutions. But yeah,
You
the
could.
contributions are
You
limited
could
to
actually.
6,000.
Yeah, but you can also have them in different institutions because I actually know people that do. So,
Okay.
so combined, and
You're the finance
again, we're
guy.
not. Yeah, well, just so you guys know, I did put it in the chat earlier. Our YouTube channel, we've actually done something with Equity Trust a couple months, I think about a month ago. We did something with New View. So those guys are the experts on self-directed. I can only tell you what I'm doing a little bit and what we see out there. So we do have those vendors that could help you out too. So I don't want to I don't know all the answers.
Just enough not to be too dangerous.
Yeah,
Ryan, can you
exactly.
talk about, you mentioned, you used the term earlier, quiet title, right?
Yes.
For those of us who are not familiar with that term, can you explain what that is?
Sure. So a quiet title action. So when you buy a property, you go through your title company. Your licensed title company is going to do what's called title and lien searches. Okay. When you have this piece of property, there are things that can be attached to the title of that property that you will inherit when you buy that property. So let's say that there's a mortgage, okay, and a mortgage and note is created. That note is created so it's recorded to lien against the property. You guys have heard that term, where there's a lien on the property. So if someone has a mortgage, they took out money, that mortgage is going to lien the property. It's going to be on the title. And when you buy that property, you can't buy that property without taking care of that lien, unless you're, making the payments on the property. But that's a whole other issue. So when we do title and lien searches, sometimes things come up like you'll have like a credit card debt of $7,000. Some old credit card company attached a lien to the property, and sometimes, the homeowners actually, if they have a common name, if it's like David Smith, you might actually find out, doing your title company does research and says, oh, this is not the same David Smith. This is a different David Smith. And the credit card company made a mistake putting a lien on that title on that property. So we just get that simply removed. If it does, in fact, belong to your homeowner, which you'll have homeowners that will say that kind of stuff all the time. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that $7,000 that was attached to my house. Yeah, I'm sure you forgot about it. That means that has to be taken care of at closing. So when there's an issue with the title, but you can't get a hold of anyone. So on our issue on this title is that there was a deed that was recorded that was trying to show this other person, this other lady, was trying to take ownership of the property. Okay. And so to do a quiet title action, what we basically needed to do was, there's a legal process that you go through. We actually had to advertise in the newspaper. You have to do your publications within the county that you're in. So we had to do an advertisement in the newspaper. And then we also had to go through the courts as well and find out, does this, this Lisa person, do they actually have right to the property to own it? So we had to notify them, because we even did a skip trace, and we looked at every, I think it was Lisa Schwartz or something, every Lisa Schwartz here in South Florida. And I literally got on the phone and started calling and saying, is this you? Are you the one that's trying to make claim to 602 on Dewey Street? And almost everybody was like, what are you talking about? Like, you could tell they had nothing to do with it. Then there was one lady, it was like, I'm a little busy right now, but can you give me that property address and I'll call you back. Now, I thought that was really kind of odd. I told Anish this. I went to our offices are close. So I went to his office. I said, you'll never believe this, man. I think I tracked down the lady that's trying to steal her property. And then I actually got a call from her husband, and her husband was like, same thing. Like, he was like, don't call us about this, da 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 da. And he's like, now, but what's the name of the people, and what's this? And he kept asking me weird questions. Never did they say, we have absolutely nothing to do with this. We have no idea what you're talking about. Instead they were very, very defensive. So I think that we did track down the right people. But what a quiet title action does is says, okay, if I can't see a lien, like if it's not a credit card company that I can call, if it's not a contractor's lien, you know, a contractor's working on the roof, you know, hurt themselves, they felt there was negligence on the homeowner, so they put a lien for that. Or maybe the contractor didn't get paid when he fixed the roof, so he put a lien on the property to get paid. You know, these kind of things and issues, we know who put the lien on the property, we know who clouded the title of the property, and we can go after those people and deal with them direct. You know, sometimes we can negotiate those things. We've had auto loans, all kinds of different stuff. You know, somebody took out an auto loan 10 years ago, you know, and it's for $17,000. They know they're never going to get that $17,000. So, you know, we contact them and negotiate it down to like $2,000. Like, you know, you want to lose little or lose big, right? But when it comes to a quiet title action, that is for an issue where we can't get a hold of the person. We have no idea who filled out this deed. All we have is a name. I've made some phone calls, but you know, nobody actually said, yeah, that's me, I'm contesting this, because otherwise we could have dealt with them directly, lawyer to lawyer. So a quiet title action is where there's a certain period of time, a procedure they have to follow. They have to give the other parties just cause and time to be able to contest it. And if nobody contests it, it's kind of like they're in court and they're like, oh, nope, nobody showed up today. Nobody came here and made claim to this property. So shh, we're going to quietly, you know, do a quiet title action on this property. That's kind of, you know, my interpretation of it. I'm sure a lawyer could give you a much better interpretation of it.
That was actually really good. I always thought like I was gonna have the title company put the title work on the desk and just go shh, shh, shh.
And quiet that title.
Quiet down.
Yeah, that's
but I mean,
is.
Yeah, but the good part, like, and the funny part is, like, you know, I had no idea, but when you have partners that know what the heck they're doing, having good title companies, having a good accountant, you know, contractors, you don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's always pretty important too. So
yeah,
I do see a question from David. Jose, if you probably want to answer it, because I am familiar. He's asking, are you guys familiar with being able to take out money from the IRA up to 100K without paying any taxes for 3 years if you were impacted by COVID? So I don't know if you have, I mean, I haven't had to do that. I don't know if any of your clients have been doing that. Jose.
I had a couple of calls about that from a couple of people. I mean, I always recommend against it. I mean, it's something that's available to you via the CARES Act. I mean, if you were impacted by COVID, lost your job or tested positive, that sort of thing, you can take out money out of your 401k or your IRA and pay that money back within 3 years so that you're not taxed on it. And if you end up not paying it back, then you can spread the tax over 3 years as well. So yeah, it's an option that you can use, but if you don't need it, don't touch it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think usually and the funny part is, right, like, what are you going to use it for? That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
If you lost your job, you might need it to live on it, right?
Yeah.
So that's something different versus
I don't think you need it. Yeah.
If you're investing in real estate, you know, maybe look at a conversion. Move some of your 401k into a self-directed IRA if your employer is not contributing. So again, that's really more your tax strategist, you know, like someone like Jose, or, you know, to really kind of go over your whole portfolio. Because I think what happens with me, I don't know about you, and you probably really see it, is like we get these one-end questions, and I always, like, you really need a full picture of what else you've been doing.
You really do. You can't just answer a question without looking at the circumstances and every component that's associated with it.
Yeah.
Making a smart decision on it.
Absolutely.
And so a couple things, like, just so you guys, I know some of you guys were interested in our boot camp. I did put a link in there. So I did offer you special pricing. I put my email in the chat. So make sure you email me. Otherwise, you're going to pay more money on the boot camp. So I don't want you to feel low with that. And one of the things that we also do, you know, Ryan's the giving guy versus me. I'm always like, no, you know, no way. So Ryan, you want to tell them the guarantee you give on the boot camp?
Yeah, so we've been doing this boot camp now. I think this is our 5th year.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
We've done a lot. And actually, one of the things that Anish hadn't mentioned, him being a big football fan, is that we actually were reviewed by ATU, and we were sort of non-officially approved by the NFL in a non-official way. But ATU is the Athletic Transition University. They work with professional athletes coming in and out of the NFL, whether they're playing now in the NFL and they're trying to help them get set up for their future and making sure they're investing and that sort of thing, or for some of those guys that retire early. I mean, being a professional football player is not necessarily a longevity type of position. And so Anish actually had made a contact, and it took about 6 months. They audited all of our, books, our education programs, looked us up and down. So Anish and I have actually done a boot camp for NFL players as well. So that was kind of interesting. But so we've been doing this boot camp for a few years, about 5 to 6 years now. And I've made the guarantee since we started this, because when Anish and I put this boot camp together, we took a look at our entire mentor program. And, we literally tried to basically take the A to Z of everything we do and put it intensively into those 2 days. I mean, we don't give you guys, too many breaks. We only take an hour for lunch because we have a lot of information from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And what had put a bad taste in our mouth from other boot camps that we know of from these national guru programs is that you take a 3-day boot camp, like we took the 3-day boot camp for Mike Watson Institute Investing. God, we threw so much money away on that guy. But the 3-day boot camp, really, the first day we talked about some seller financing techniques and stuff, and I swear the next 2 days was like a pitch fest. He was trying to sell us everything from books to more education programs to more mentoring, which is, it's fine if you're going to offer that kind of stuff, but, give me some value. So Anish and I said, you know what, in our boot camp, we don't sell anything. We give you guys information for those 2 days. And when we have people like Jose Ramirez, when we have Kevin Thatcher and those guys come and give their, Kevin Thatcher usually does about a half an hour on title company and stuff. Jose is the one that usually does about an hour because there's always going to be more questions about, strategies and taxes.
Lots to talk about, yeah.
Yeah. So we enjoy that. But so I gave the same guarantee every single year. You take our boot camp on Sunday at 5 o'clock when we're done, 5:30. Sometimes we finish a little late. You come to me and you tell me and give me an explanation as to why you do not think that you got your money's worth over the weekend, and I will cut you a check. I'll Venmo you, Cash App, Zelly, whatever you want. I will give you an immediate refund on the spot. Now, how many people have actually come and said to me that they want a refund, they want their money back because they didn't get their money's worth? Big fat zero. We've never had a single person ever take me up on the offer. It's a real offer, but no one's ever taken us up on it. Matter of fact, this last boot camp, we had a broker that been in business like 10 or 11 years, I think. And, and that's not the first time. We actually have a broker in our mentor program that was in the business for 10 years after taking our boot camp last year. And both of them said, I really thought that I understood, real estate investing. He said, I have no clue. I learned so much this weekend that I didn't know, and so many golden nuggets, and really gave me a clear picture of what is wholesaling. What are pre-foreclosures? What are probates? What really are tired of being a landlord deals? What is motivation to a seller? It's not just simply putting a property in contract, analyzing property for price. There's a lot of nuances and things. We talk about our marketing strategies and stuff as well. So, we make that offer to anybody taking our boot camp still. If you don't feel like you got your value for it, we'll give you a full refund. You just have to give me an explanation.
Yeah, don't be that first person. Don't break our
don't be that first person. We'll put your name up on a billboard on the turnpike and be like, don't associate with this refunder. No, I'm kidding. But no, that's an offer that we'll make to all of you guys. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show you guys really quickly, talking about the boot camp, let me screen share real quick with you guys.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I see Steven's got a question real quick about moving his 401k to a self-directed IRA. I think that just really depends. What I would probably talk to Jose. Hopefully, Jose is your tax strategist, helping you out. But that could be a good option. If you want to use your 401k, it depends if they're matching, not matching, is it in stocks? So I think that's a little bit more complicated question. That might be more of a Jose one-on-one kind of question, unless I'm
Yeah, you
missing
can always
something.
reach out to me and have that conversation.
Yeah,
But
I think that's
I'll tell you guys this though, you know, the interesting thing is being in the wholesale business. The biggest naysayer in my life when he was alive was my father, of course, and he could never wrap his head around, you know, what we do. I would literally show him. I remember in 2010 when Anish and I had really started getting going. We were the top students in the old Bria Mentor program. I did $85,000 that month, almost in pure profit. Take out some marketing dollars, call it 80 grand in the month of January for my 1-bedroom apartment with this little whiteboard that I have in my office and my little computer. And even showing my dad that, he just could not wrap his head around, you know, how are you able to buy this property for $50,000 and then flip it for $182,000 to somebody else? Why would somebody do that? Why wouldn't the seller just go and sell that? He could never wrap his head around it. But my dad was all about stocks and 401ks and all those kind of things, which is great. But the reality is that you cannot make the percentages on your money the way that you can in real estate, and especially wholesaling. If you do wholesaling correctly, if you learn it correctly, Anish and I, knock on wood, we've never lost a single dollar in real estate since after the crash of the market. Okay, the crash of the market, we lost, you know, our asses. But since that time, in the last 10 years, we've not lost a dollar because of what we do, even on our rehab projects. Because wholesaling gives us an opportunity to cherry pick our rehab projects. You know, so the 100 rehabs that we've done in the last 10 years or whatever, you know, we haven't lost any money because we get them at such good prices. So the reality is, if you guys are considering, oh, maybe I should get into real estate, but I'm not sure, you know, talk to Jose, but he, you know, he'll tell you the percentages that you're making and what you can actually potentially do in real estate. Even if you're going to take a penalty, it's probably going to be worth it. So can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is a program called ReFX. For those of you that are not familiar, we're not going to get a whole lot into ReFX because that's a whole nother webinar. We could spend a day on this thing. We go over this a lot at the boot camp, as well as having Francisco Mago, the creator, show you guys what's going on with ReFX. So, but ReFX, very simply, is a software program that uses algorithms, and it goes in and scrubs public record sources to compile information about every single property in Broward County, Palm Beach County, Miami-Dade County, every county in the state of Florida. It does other states as well, but let's just concentrate on Florida. So basically, it'll go into the clerk of courts, and it will know if that property is a probate property. It will know if that property is facing a foreclosure. You can set the program up because it will go into the property appraisers and get the owner's name, owner's address, and information about the property. So you could filter out what we call our tired of being a landlord, you know, non-owner occupied. If the owner's address is different than the address of the property, then in theory, they don't live in that property. So you can use the filters in this system, and you can see on here, it has public records, for sale, for rent, for sale by owner. And then it has all of these different filters that you can set up. I think there's over 1 million, like 1.5 million different, you know, combinations that you can do in here. You could come up with every 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Fort Lauderdale that's non-owner occupied, that's behind in their taxes, that is not for sale on the MLS, so it's true off market. So we utilize this in the filter system in here to isolate and create our lead lists. So right now, what I have set up in here is we're looking for Broward County for pre-foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures are simple. When the homeowner stops making payments on their mortgage, the bank files in public record a notice of the lawsuit for foreclosure called a lis pendens, and that becomes public record. So now ReFX knows about it. That is a pre-foreclosure. People are in pre-foreclosure for an average of 1.5 to 2 years. So meaning most of the homeowners we work with haven't made payments in 1.5 to 2 years. They still live in the house. It hasn't been foreclosed on yet, okay? So we're looking for pre-foreclosures that are not probates. In the state of Florida, single-family homes. Yes, we do condos. Yes, we do townhomes. Yes, we do vacant land. We do multifamily. We do all of those things. Why single-family homes first? Because that's the lowest hanging fruit, okay? If I go to an apple orchard and I'm in front of an apple tree and there's a beautiful apple right here, Just because I see another beautiful apple at the top, I'm not going to climb that tree for the next 20 minutes trying to get that other beautiful apple when I got one right here. Think
Right.
smarter, okay? For sale, no, that means it's not on the MLS, not on the multiple listing service. It's not listed by real estate agents. We'll talk about why we stay away from the MLS. This is market value of under 350,000. So these are even houses that are just under 350. This doesn't even count the houses that are 350 and above. And then these are foreclosures that have been, pre-foreclosures that have been filed since 2015, January 1st. So when I do my search, there's only 2,640 potential motivated sellers that need, or want your help and want to get out of that property and have a potential for us to be able to purchase the property. So there's a lot. And this is just Broward County alone, and that's pre-foreclosures under 350,000. Okay. So this is how we would create a lead list. We'd come in here, we would change, I would change this to my pre-foreclosure headings. And now you see, I have a list of 2,640 houses that have the address, the owner's name, the owner's address in case they live someplace else. Let's see, do we have any out-of-state people? Yep, somebody lives in Riverside, California, right here.
Now, are you calling these people?
Yep. So I can call these people. We can skip trace them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there'll be a phone number. Mm-hmm. The phone numbers are good probably 5 to 10% of the time. There is a skip trace that I can do inside REIFax. It will come up with potential cell phone numbers and also relatives' names and phone numbers as well. So like this person out in California, I could call them and say, listen, I'm well established here. If you guys are a member of BRIA, you could say I'm a member of the Broward Real Estate Investor Association. We are known as the largest organization of helping homeowners facing foreclosure in South Florida. Nish and I have been awarded by the mayors of Broward and Dade County over the last 10 years. So, you could call that person in California and say, hey, we really know how to help people facing, these issues. What are you really wanting to do? Are you wanting to get rid of the property? Are you trying to do a loan modification, try to keep the property, try to restructure the mortgage? And find out if they're motivated, like, yeah, I really want to sell the property, but I had no idea who to reach out to. I'm out here in California and I don't have the money to come back and take care of this issue. No problem. We can take care of this thing. We've done deals where people are in other countries. We actually had, remember Jane and Carrie's deal, Anish? We actually had a deal last year of 2 of our students, and they did a great job on it. But we actually had to get the consulate in South Korea. In South Korea, we had to get the consulate involved because we had to track that. It was a probate property. We were tracking down one of the heirs, and we were trying to do a quiet title action. But since there was some information that this one relative still possibly lived in South Korea, we had to try to get in contact with them. And sure enough, the consulate tracked them down, and she signed the documentation, notarized everything, got all the paperwork done. So we've done closings with people in South Korea. And listen, where there's a will, there's a way. We were making like 40 grand on that property, and we were not going to let that go to the wayside. Take a few extra time to make some calls. But yeah, so you can skip trace these people. You can call them. You can go and knock on their door. You can set up mailing campaigns because you can export all of this to an Excel file. Now, remember that number 2,640, okay? That's potentially, people that we want to go and see. Now, if I take out and I go to the for sale, meaning it's listed on the MLS, I'm going to say yes this time. So now the program is filtered to look for properties that are facing foreclosure that are on the MLS. There's 69. So 69 properties out of 2,640 are being marketed on the MLS. You want to stay away from those 69 properties.
Yeah, what a big difference.
Big difference. Yeah. Yep. And think about it this way. If you took the buyer's pool of the majority of people buying properties, the majority of them buy properties from the MLS, from the auction, and from us, from wholesalers. They don't go off market. So when you have the smallest amount of properties, 69 properties out of 2,600 is on the MLS, but the majority of people are going after them, what does that create? Major competition. You have the majority mass people going after the smaller amount of inventory.
Right.
That creates competition. Okay. So going after properties on the MLS, going after properties at the auction, first of all, they're all overpriced. No offense, but you have, you know, real estate agents that a lot of them don't know what they're doing, and they're pricing these properties, and they're putting a retail price on this property, you know, to list it because they want their commission to be high as possible. And then for auction properties, the reason why 80% of the auction properties don't sell is because of the fact that they're all overpriced. You know, the majority of the properties at the auction go back to the bank because the bank is the highest bidder, right? They go back to the bank, and then what does the bank do? The bank assigns it to an REO broker, real estate owned REO, that's a foreclosure property. They assign it to an REO broker that puts it on the MLS for the same price they couldn't get at the auction. And you know why they do that? We've had asset managers literally tell us, Ryan, it's a procedure that we follow. And what we do is we make sure that we have potentially another foreign investor that doesn't really understand the pricing make an offer on this property. So they put it at that price, hoping that somebody doesn't really know and that they're going to overbid on the property.
Thanks. Before I put it in the chat, I do want to congratulate our two winners that won a membership, Patricia Perez and Joseph Asaf. I feel like you guys are members already, so you could give away the membership to someone else, or we could extend your membership. So make sure you do call our office, 954-585-2274, or email Jez at wjl.net, and that will get your claim for the membership. So, man, these 90 minutes go by quick, Jose.
Yeah, we just started. So one thing I wanted to say also is, like, because you mentioned, you know, the software tells you if there's liens, that sort of thing. If you guys run across properties that has liens, don't be afraid of those. Even if they have an IRS liens, we could help you get those IRS liens removed. A lot of people, I've met people that IRS lien, I'm not dealing with it. No, but many times we can get them removed. If the homeowner is upside down and is willing to provide the documentation that's required to remove the lien, we can get those removed. So keep that in mind.
Jose, you've done that twice for us.
Yeah, we did it on 2
Jose was actually the first one when we ever had this situation. He was the first person that we called. This was a few years ago. We were doing a short sale and found out that there was like a $75,000 IRS lien, and we were like, "Oh my God!" Like, that's all of our profit right there. So, so he took care of that for us. He's done that for us a few times.
Yeah, we got it removed within 30 days.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. Glad I could help make you some money.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to end. I know we're pretty much short on time and anything. So I did put a lot of information in the chat throughout the event. What I would tell you, if you're like me, the chat moves way too quick. I'm going to put my email address again in there. So I know we did some special stuff on pricing for boot camp, you know, membership, all this other good stuff. So if you email me, let me know you're on the webinar. If you want to be in our boot camp, you got specific questions. I put a couple polls about the boot camp, our one-on-one mentoring, where we put up 100% of the money for the deals. Tomorrow night, actually, at Bria, we actually have a special event. I put that in the chat also. It's our student panel, and it's 7 p.m. tomorrow night. They're going to talk about some of the deals that they're doing. We're going to show you, they might talk about a couple of deals where they made over $100,000 on wholesale deals. Again, that's not the norm, right? We've been averaging about 25,000, which isn't bad. But imagine even making 5,000 and you're taking no risk and you're literally in and out. I mean, we're doing that all day. So I don't want everyone always to think, you know, like it drives me nuts on those HGTV shows. Oh yeah, 100,000, 100,000, yeah. You know, Ryan and I bought a house years ago for $8,000 in South Florida. We could show you closing statements, right?
Wow.
So not every house is in South Florida is $8,000, right? So those are the extremes. But once you start doing more deals, you'll be really amazed what kind of deals are out there too. So
Well, think
I think
about
that's
it. You know, even if you're only, and this does this all the time. You know, if you're making, you know, let's say that you close 2 deals a month, 2 deals a month for 10 months, take 2 months off, and even if you're only making $5,000 a deal, how would that change your life? You're making $10,000 a month, 100 grand a year plus, and you're working for yourself out of your home. That's, you know, that's a big difference for a lot of people. So something to think about.
yeah,
The
yeah,
flexibility also.
yeah, and then the other things, I know we're talking about wholesaling. I know some of you guys are like long-term wealth. The reason we teach you wholesaling, if you could find the deals, you could decide to keep them. I know Jose always talks about cost segregation,
I preach
so
about
you
that.
never have to pay taxes, right? So the key is, instead of buying them from Ryan and I, which we don't mind, imagine you made that 25 or 30,000 up front, and then you wanted to keep it. So once you really learn how to do this business, you could really grow wealth, whether it's in your retirement, in your LLC, maybe it's just a portfolio, or maybe you just want to fix houses. I think it's just the building blocks is really what I always see when you're getting into real estate. And the other big thing is, like, my last bit of advice is that don't let another year pass you by, please. I don't care if it's, I'm not saying do our program or not. It just drives me nuts that, you know, over the years, we probably met thousands of people, you know, through all our events, and, you know, good people. 5 years later, guess what? They've never made an offer on a property. They're still, my favorite is they're still doing research,
Doing research,
right?
yeah,
When's the research going to be done? So you're not, I'm going to give you my big first secret. And we always say there's no secrets. You're not going to know everything. It's okay, right? Build your team. Having a RIA, we're lucky to have a team, right? I don't even pretend to know any of the accounting stuff. I am a little nerdy, so meaning, like, for me, it's a little bit interesting. You know, it's you know, for other people like Ryan, it's like watching the grass grow. Like,
I hate the numbers and accounting stuff, you know, but it's
I
important.
mean,
It's
yeah.
important.
So that, I mean, that's what I would like to leave you guys with, and hopefully you'll be on more of our events before we go. If not, I wish you and your family a happy, safe holiday season too. So.
Absolutely. And
one more thing before you go. Reminder that next week, next Tuesday, I think it is, we're doing another webinar with you guys on last minute tax planning. Last minute tax planning for you guys who are coming late to the party and, you know, doing last minute. That's okay. We can make it work. There's still things we can do before once the year ends, you're done. Okay. So tax planning ends December 31st. So we're going to do we're going to talk about some strategies on the 8th. So make sure you sign up for that.
so that's Tuesday, December the 8th, and that's 11 a.m. too, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
Free again. Again, it's free. No excuses.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll leave you guys with this. I was a big procrastinator, you know, when I first started becoming like an entrepreneur, owning my own businesses and things. I was always planning, trying to be perfect. I always wanted to have that perfect execution. And 10 years ago, I threw that out the window when I lost everything in the crash of the market. And what I've been following is a mantra that I actually got from a movie. But it says, a good plan today is better than the perfect plan tomorrow. So realizing that, you know, for me, my business has just exploded. My success has gotten bigger and bigger every year, because you get more and more bold to just go and start and get started, and not think about trying to plan and trying to make it perfect and let me get all these things, you know, together. So a good plan today is better than the perfect plan tomorrow. So if you guys are still sitting on the sidelines, you need to get involved one way or the other, whether it's with us or anybody else. Just get involved, because 2021, 2022, the market is going to be something that we'll be talking about years later. You know, 5-10 years from now, Anish and I will be talking about, man, you remember right after COVID in 2021 when the market just got really juicy and we killed it. We just, you know, made millions of dollars over the next couple of years, which, you know, is going to happen. That's what we did in the crash of the market before. We see all the same signs, very similar signs, maybe not exactly the same, but we see very similar signs to that as well. So guys, it's an opportunity that's coming up. It's just whether you take advantage of it or not. So have a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year. If we don't get to see you guys, hopefully we'll see you guys in the New Year as well. If not, we'll see you guys tomorrow night at the big last monthly meeting of the year. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That is also a free event.
Yep. And next week also.
Yeah, and next week
Tax
also
plan.
at December the 8th at 11 a.m. So we'll see you guys there. Thanks, Jose.
Right.
Appreciate it, bud.
Thanks, Jose.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.
Have a good rest of the day.
Pleasure.